Welcome Back to History and to the second part of Wilhelm II's sons. Today's video will be about his three younger sons. One tragically committed suicide at a quite young age, the other one was an active supporter of the Nazis, and one had a long career in the army. If you haven't seen the first part of this series, I will link it in the description box for you to watch later. Prince August Wilhelm of Prussia was born during the reign of his great-grandfather on January 29, 1887. He was named August Wilhelm Heinrich Günther Victor but was nicknamed Aui in the family. He grew up with his siblings at the New Palace in Potsdam and received a military education in Plön. August Wilhelm then went on to study at several universities until he received his doctorate in political science in 1907. In 1908, August Wilhelm married his first cousin, Princess Alexandra Victoria of Schleswig-Holstein-Sonderburg-Glücksburg. The marriage was arranged by his parents, but it nevertheless is said to have been a happy marriage. Princess Alexandra was a great favorite of her mother-in-law, mostly because she was also her aunt, but also because Alexandra was described as a kind lady by most people at court. The young couple was given Villa Liegnitz, where they took up residence after their wedding. In 1912, their only child was born, Prince Alexander Ferdinand of Prussia. August Wilhelm was made district administrator of the district of Ruppin at the outbreak of war. He thus had to move to Castle Rheinberg. During the early days of World War I, August Wilhelm broke his leg in a car crash and was not able to go back to war from then on. Hans-Georg von Mackensen was August Wilhelm's personal adjutant, and they have been friends since their childhood years. Hans-Georg played an important role in August Wilhelm's life, and it is said that August Wilhelm developed homophilic tendencies towards him. This contributed to the failure of his firstly happy marriage. His father, Wilhelm II, did not allow the couple to divorce, so they remained married until their divorce in March 1920, after the downfall of the German Empire. August Wilhelm was given custody over the couple's only son, and they remained in his villa where they lived a reclusive life after the war. August Wilhelm took drawing lessons during this time and secured an additional income source through the sales of his drawings. Like his brother, August Wilhelm joined the Steel Helmet League by the end of the 1920s, and he established contacts with the NSDAP. Lastly, he joined the NSDAP on April 1, 1930, against the will of his father and to the unease of his family. August Wilhelm was often the subject of mockery by the left-wing press for his involvement with the NSDAP and his support of Adolf Hitler. August Wilhelm was used by his party to gain votes in the elections, and he was made its lead candidate for the election to the Prussian parliament. In 1932, August Wilhelm was further made election speaker alongside Adolf Hitler, whom he accompanied on flights across Germany. August Wilhelm tried to convince the German people that Hitler was not a threat, but a benefactor of them and the German Empire. In 1933, August Wilhelm became a member of the German Reichstag. However, after the abolition of the Weimar Republic and the establishment of the dictatorship, the party no longer needed August Wilhelm's help. The whole time, Aui had secretly hoped that he or his son would be made Kaiser by Hitler. But even after the Night of Long Knives, the adoration towards Hitler continued from Aui's side. In 1939, August Wilhelm was made SA Obergruppenführer, which was the second highest rank in the SA. But when he made negative remarks about Joseph Goebbels, a Nazi politician, he was denounced from the SA. After the end of the Second World War, August Wilhelm was arrested by the US Army and imprisoned in Ludwigsburg. He was sentenced to 2.5 years of hard labor in 1948, but as he had been in prison since 1945, he was considered to have served his sentence. Only a year later, the former prince got seriously ill and died in 1949 at the age of 62. In investigations made in 1960, August Wilhelm was identified as one of those that pulled the trigger in the execution of Albrecht Höhler in 1933. Höhler was a member of the Red Front Fighters Associations and was involved in the murder of a local leader of the Nazi Party named Horst Wessel. Prince Oskar Karl Gustav Adolf of Prussia was born on July 27, 1888 at the Marmor Palace in Potsdam and was the first child to be born while his father was already emperor. Kaiser Wilhelm II ascended the throne just a month earlier after his own father died after only 99 days on the throne. Because of this, the year 1888 is also known as the Year of the Three Emperors. He spent his childhood years in the new palace in Potsdam together with his siblings. Later, Oskar was educated as a cadet at Plön. Plön is also the place his mother grew up. Right at the outbreak of World War I, Prince Oskar married Countess Ina Marie von Bassewitz. The marriage was a morganatic marriage, and Ina Marie was made Countess von Ruppin 4 days prior to their wedding. After the downfall of the German Empire, the marriage was decreed to be dynastic, and Ina Marie was made Princess of Prussia and was styled as Royal Highness. Almost a year after their wedding, Ina Marie gave birth to their first child, a son named Oskar. 3 more children followed in the next 7 years: Burkhard, Herzlite, and Wilhelm. Their first son, Oskar, died while in action in World War II. After the wedding, Oskar headed to the battlefields of World War I, where he commanded the regiment King Wilhelm I as its colonel. Oskar was praised for his bravery and inspirational leadership on the attack of Virton on August 22, 1914. For his action at Virton, Oskar earned himself the Iron Cross Second Class. Only a month later, at the Battle of Verdun, Oskar again proved his bravery and leadership skills as he led his regiment successfully through the battle. For his actions at Verdun, Oskar was awarded the Iron Cross First Class. The Iron Cross is the highest decoration for bravery awarded to the German armed forces during the war. After being on the battlefield for roughly 2 months, Oskar collapsed and had to be removed from the field. He spent fall 1914 recovering from what is supposed to have been a heart condition. Oskar was awarded the Wound Badge for his injuries. After recovering, he returned to the Eastern Front. In January 1915, Oskar was promoted to the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. He remained at war for the remaining time of World War I. After the armistice of November 11, 1918, he was released from the army. After the war, Oskar became an active member of the Steel Helmet League, a frontline soldiers organization. Further, Oskar supplied his exiled father with information about the Nazis, which actions he never supported. At the outbreak of World War II, Oskar was ordered back into the army, where he served as colonel of the Wehrmacht and commander of an infantry regiment. Later, he was promoted to Major General until being banned from the army by the Prince's Decree, which was issued by Adolf Hitler. The Prince's Decree banned all members from German royalty from serving in the army. Oskar's health from then on declined, and on January 27, 1958, the 70th birthday of his wife and what would have been his father's 99th birthday, Oskar died from stomach cancer at the age of 69. He was buried at Hohenzollern Castle, where his wife joined him after her death in 1973. Prince Joachim was born on December 17, 1890, and was the youngest son of Emperor Wilhelm II and his wife Augusta Victoria. He grew up at the new palace in Potsdam with his other siblings and received a military education in Plön. In October 1915, Joachim became engaged to Princess Marie Auguste of Anhalt. The couple married the following year on March 11th in Berlin. The wedding was celebrated at Bellevue Castle with the Emperor and Empress and many other relatives attending. The couple had one son who was born almost exactly 9 months after their wedding. Prince Joachim was seen as a possible candidate for several newly established thrones in Europe. In 1916, during the Easter Rising in Dublin, some Republican leaders came up with the idea of giving the throne of an independent Ireland to Joachim. When the rising would be successful and Germany would win the First World War, they could establish an independent monarchy with a German prince on the throne, just like in Romania or Bulgaria. What furthermore encouraged their idea was that Joachim did not speak English and that he could thus promote the Irish language. Joachim was also a possible candidate for the throne of Georgia after their declaration of independence, but this idea was never discussed further. Lastly, he was also considered a candidate for the Lithuanian throne, as the Council of Lithuania was unable to form a government due to the presence of German troops after their independence. The Germans made various proposals to incorporate Lithuania into the German Empire. In one of those proposals, they offered the crown to Joachim. However, after a voting made in Lithuania, they gave the throne to the German noble, Wilhelm Karl, Duke of Urach. After the defeat of Germany during the First World War, his father was forced to abdicate the throne, thus depriving Joachim of his title and position. Joachim was unable to accept his new status as a commoner and fell into a deep depression. His marriage at this time had already started to deteriorate, and the couple lastly divorced shortly after the end of the war. The official reason for their divorce is not known, but according to one report, his wife abandoned her husband and son to run away with another man. Supposedly, she had been forcibly brought back home on the orders of the Kaiser. As Marie saw in which position her husband's family was after the war, she filed for divorce. Shortly after the divorce, on July 17, 1920, Joachim attended a party of his cousin. After his return home from the party, he shot himself and was found by his older brother, August Wilhelm, who immediately brought him to the hospital. There, Joachim died a day later and left his family in huge shock and mourning. He was laid to rest at the antique temple, the place his mother was buried a year later after her own death. His great-grandson is the heir apparent to Maria Vladimirovna, a claimant to the disputed headship of the imperial family of Russia.